One of the most underrated quality of a leader is actually kindness.
Welcome to PINC Podcast bersama saya, Kania Cita. Kali ini kita akan ngobrol-ngobrol bareng sama Mas Nugi. Mas Nugi, halo. Kita bakal ngomongin leadership hari ini. Leadership dan team building dan nurturing lah gitu, mungkin secara umum ya. Jadi kan Mas Nugi ini posisinya ada di leadership position sebagai senior partners. Nah mungkin kita bakal mulai dari gimana Mas Nugi ngelihat leader itu sendiri. Apa sih leader atau mungkin leadership gitu.
Yeah. So, leadership di dalam sebuah organisasi itu menjadi sebuah hal yang sifatnya tangible, of course, karena setiap organisasi pasti punya leader. Tapi juga elusif, karena not everyone knows how to behave like one, and not everyone understand what it takes to be one, let alone to help others to be leaders someday, gitu kan? And I think this is actually coming from the fact that many of us still could not understood clearly the differences between a leader and a boss, you know?
What is the difference?
So, of course, we've seen a lot of LinkedIn posts about the differences.
Okay.
But I think whether someone really understood the differences in a certain level that it actually reflected in the way they behave, that's, I think, another matter. So, first thing first, I think very few people realize that to be a leader is to, how do I put it? A leader is someone who's actually more developed than your peers, right?
Okay.
The fact that you are leading a group of people, itu berarti there's a gap between you and the rest of the group, right?
Okay.
And it's actually a lot to do with self-development, you know, self-development. So if you actually realize that fact, then you understand that there's no distinctions between personal development and professional development. So you need, if you want to be a leader, you need to develop yourselves. Personal, you know. You need to be a better person, a wiser person. And then you can help others to be the greatest versions of themselves. It's not only about the technical abilities. Technical abilities meaning, because
You understand advertising,
exactly,
you understand marketing.
Exactly, technical, right?
Yeah.
Dan apalagi kita berbicara creative leaderships, okay?
Yeah.
I can do art directions, and then, I know how to generate ideas. I know what good ideas and bad ideas, and I know how to judge them. But do you know how to treat people in a way that they feel motivated? Do you know what helps people understand why they should actually get up in the morning and do their job? In a way that is very joyful and fulfilling. Understanding yourself, understanding people, that takes a lot of work. Gitu. So again, it's about, development. Yeah.
Okay. Jadi tadi a leader is someone who is kayak more developed as a person
Exactly.
dari their peers, and that's why
Exactly.
mereka assume a leadership position lah.
Exactly.
But then in terms of role, tadi Mas Nugi sempat nyebut beberapa kayak leader has to make their people itu become motivated to do what they need to do.
100%,
gitu.
yeah.
Is that just the only role of a leader, atau kayak Mas Nugi punya list of roles yang menurut Mas Nugi this is what leaders should do atau should be able to do?
Right. We can create a list, but the list would be exhaustive.
Karena banyak banget ya.
Yeah, but I think it should comes down to one thing.
Okay.
A leader is someone who can show you the way. Why? Because he or she happens to be more developed than you. You know, if you cannot, you cannot see a way forward, right? And then you cannot problem solve. Maybe you're a doer, not a leader, but you can develop yourselves
Into a leader.
exactly as a person.
Oh yeah. As a
And
person.
then when you're able to see things from a greater perspective, you're able to understand yourselves. You're able to respond to issues, because life in an organization is full of problems. Yeah. And then you can actually really show the way to others. Then you're a leader. Yeah.
Ya, Mas Tugi sempat sebut tadi ya. Jadi it all comes down to showing people the way lah.
Exactly.
Gitu kan.
Yeah.
But then this is specifically kan leadership in the creative industry.
Exactly.
And then we know that in creative industry you're gonna gather like creative people with their creative
Yes.
minds, right?
Yes.
And they have like a lot of probably wild ideas in their heads and
Harusnya.
all those things kan. Dan bahkan itu yang harus di-trigger gitu.
Exactly.
So
Harusnya.
how do you show the way gitu loh, in terms of creative leadership, when you lead creative
Right.
people?
So again, a lot of books has been written on this, but I think by the end of the day, it all boils down to very few points, right? And one of them again is about self-development. Yeah. So if you are a creative leader or someone who's actually considered to have a leadership roles in the creative field, yeah, it's very easy. It's very simple to understand that questions, right?
Yeah.
Again, it's about self-development. You need to develop yourselves. And when we talk about people in the creative industries, not many investing their time and energy in developing themselves properly. Okay? Meaning, if you want to go far, right, you need to understand what is the creative standard these days. Yeah? Meaning you need to actually actively looking around and know what are the greatest works out there, right? And then you need to analyze those works, right? I don't know how many people actually ngelakuin itu, And then you also need to go a little bit wide. You read and read and read, and it's not only about the creative industries, yeah? You read about humanity, you read about news, you read about, I don't know, just some work of fictions yang happen to be booming. And then you need to watch a lot of things. You need to watch Netflix, you need to watch non-Netflix, you need to observe people. It's a lot of work gitu, but you gotta do it gitu. Nah, kenapa? Because you need to develop yourself as a creative leader. A creative leader itu adalah orang yang bisa stitch or showing the way how to stitch a few variables yang seemingly nggak connected into something that is seemingly new or fresh, And to do that, you need to gather a lot of variables within yourselves, You need to internalize a lot of things, and if you don't do your work, it's not gonna work. So I've met a lot of people, right? I met a lot of people. I interviewed a lot of people lah, from various levels, right? And one of my favorite questions, and I always change my questions during interviews, right? And
Yeah,
I never ask things about their works like, portfolio.
Yeah.
It's okay, I mean, I've seen your works. I mean, the fact that I wanted to talk to you, berarti kan sebenarnya I think
It's not about your work.
Yeah, I mean, your work is there, right?
Yeah, your work is displayed everywhere.
Yeah, I want to know you as a person, right? And then biasanya tuh gue akan nanya, ya. So, idols lo di creative industry siapa? Itu mulai itu biasanya au. Terus habis itu gue akan bilang, why I ask that questions? Because then it shows how much eager lo develop yourselves as a creative person, If we actually talk about other industry or other fields, like for example, football, okay, and then I would ask a young footballer or even a very senior footballer, right, a questions. Idols lu dalam bidang sepak bola siapa?
Yeah.
mereka pasti nggak akan butuh mikir. Mereka bisa aja bilang, oh Maradona, Messi, oh I like Pele, oh I like George Best. Or we talk about other things in business. Siapa idols lu? And they can talk about Steve Jobs, whoever, you know. Tapi begitu di bidang kreatif, karena it's not something that is very B2C perhaps, not something that is very mass, okay? So they don't really go deep into something that they're actually going deep at, you know? And then that's how you actually realize that sometimes we need to do a lot of work, you know, and develop ourselves. So again, it's all about you must develop yourself all the time, and it's a lifetime process. It's not a process yang ada finish line. It's becoming. It's a direction. Gitu.
I see.
Yeah, it's a direction. You know, it's not a end point. Gitu. Yeah.
Okay. Ya, Mas Nugi, thank you for your answer. Moving on to the next question, Mas Nugi sekarang itu leading group of companies lah ya. Tapi kan group of companies itu pasti dimulai dari misalnya one company, dan one company dimulai dari maybe one team. Nah mungkin Mas Nugi bisa cerita perjalanan building ini, misalnya dari bangun satu tim, bangun company sampai bangun group of companies, kayak just lay out your story gitu ngelakuin ini, dan mungkin the insights dari situ, kayak what are the main biggest lessons lah yang you got ya dari ngelakuin itu gitu, from that process.
Yeah, so if we talk about all these things, right? Companies, teams, units, semuanya itu hal utamanya atau the main ingredients itu sama, yaitu adalah people. Okay.
Yeah.
So of course, as my background is again creative, gitu kan. So my first experience into building a team, gitu ya, itu adalah tim kreatif yang kecil banget. Nggak kecil banget sih, meaning standar lah ya. Art, copy. Kayaknya waktu itu.
Berapa orang tuh ya, Mas?
Ya, kayaknya waktu itu ada 2 tim. Jadi art, copy, graphic designer, art, copy, graphic designers.
I see.
I think I was creative group head or associate CD at that time. Yeah. Again, it's all about, you have to think of it as one integral unit gitu. And I think that's the key word, one, gitu ya. A lot of people don't realize this because a lot of people just think that, it's just a group of people, you know. It's not. It's one. Gitu. It's one, meaning when we look at something that is cohesive as one unit, you have to think of various particles di situ. For example, this smartwatch can work because of a lot of components. Ya, beda-beda komponen sih.
Beda-beda but gerak in a certain way.
Exactly, exactly. So you need to. That's what I learned. I need to be able to compose, construct one team, tapi I need to have a very clear visions gitu. Siapa dengan siapa akan menghasilkan apa gitu. But everything has to be synergistic gitu. So at that time I actually hired fresh grads, like a total fresh grad gitu kan. But I saw that she's actually having a very good taste. Terus abis itu when I talk to her, this girl is so smart, you know. And then you can be my first art director, ambitious and have an international outlook. Good. And then I spoke to another person, right? No copywriting background whatsoever, gitu kan? No copywriting background whatsoever. Tapi habis itu, again, I never talked about the work, even from day one. I actually building a creative team. So we talk about music. I remember clearly what I asked him during the interview. Lagi dengerin apa sekarang? Sufjan Stevens katanya. Interesting. Terus I happen to also listen to Sufjan Stevens at that time. Dan Sufjan Stevens kan bikin albumnya waktu itu, rencananya dia mau bikin satu album untuk mewakili setiap state di US kan. So we talk about it a little bit, the concept gitu kan. And then he understood concept gitu kan. And then I happen to see that this guy ini abis ada internship di Whiteboard Journal, which is actually run by my brother-in-law gitu kan. And then familiar, and I'm of course I'm also very familiar with the media gitu kan. Okay, you can be my first copywriter, and then they happen to be the first team. So yang art director itu Vinny Chong, which kemudian sekarang I think ada di regional marketingnya Happy Fresh. Yang lainnya itu si copywriternya tadi itu Aidil Akbar yang juga sebelum ini run Pantare to the level of creative director gitu kan. And then pertama kali mereka kerja as a team dan mereka langsung menang Young Lions, and then they flew to France. And then again, why everything worked like that? It's because two very different people, but there are something that actually works as one, gitu. Itu di level team. Kemudian kita berbicara di level department. You also need to see everyone to be like that, When you look at the sports team, again, because I'm a big fan of sports, yeah. So I like to see things from the perspective of a sports manager, gitu kan? Yeah. So
maybe coach.
Yeah, coach. Yeah. I like to play Sir Alex a little bit. Yeah, jadi a department, right? You need to see because not a lot of people they're strong in the same area or weak in the same area. Everyone is different, yeah. Even twins, they are very different, right? So you need to very very familiar with each member of everyone in the department, So you need to develop a relationship with each of the person, right? And that's why to be a leader is actually a lot of work, because it's not only about the creative strategy is like that. Oh, you need to push the idea to that directions. The music needs to. You need to invest in a lot of things like, hey, ngapain lo, gitu kan?
Yeah.
Lo kemarin weekend ngapain, gitu kan? Yeah. And then you develop small talks, right? And then at other times you need to also be very sensible with the needs of certain people. You need to understand their body language, right? And then, hey, is everything okay? And then you can have one-on-one. So you need to have relationship with everyone so that you know everyone itu tuh seperti apa. And then you can compose your team as a department. Itu tuh layersnya juga kuat. Dari mulai yang paling senior, mid, junior. Sama kayak juga di tim olahraga ya. Dari tim senior, under 23, under 19, under 17.
Tim olahraganya masih sepak bola ya?
Yeah, masih sepak bola because I really, we can talk about crickets, but I'm not familiar about crickets.
Who's your favorite coach anyway? I mean, in terms of sepak bola.
Sepak bola,
football.
Sir Alex.
Oh,
but I'm not a fan of Manchester United.
Okay.
I'm a fan of Sir Alex.
Sir Alex.
Yeah,
okay.
benar.
Yeah, a lot of people are fans of siapa namanya coachnya Liverpool. Tapi
Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, Klopp, right? Tapi they're not really fans of the Liverpool per se. It's
right? Benar. Sir Alex itu he also authored a management book.
I see.
Yeah, and he taught di Harvard.
I see.
Yeah. So again, there's a close relationship between these two bidang manajemen gitu ya.
Yeah, because the core skills itu kan sebenarnya
people.
Yeah.
People.
Sama people development and management.
People and then working as one, right?
Yeah.
Working with egos, frictions gitu kan.
Yeah. Tadi Mas Nugi sempat ngomong bahwa a leader must nurture relationships with each member lah gitu kan.
Very true.
Tapi kan we know that your leadership position itu udah di posisi yang dimana timnya itu udah gede lah gitu.
Bener.
How do you do it? Apakah misalnya kayak Mas Nugi also nurtures kayak mungkin next generation of leaders dan mereka yang build relationship with people under them gitu, atau you still do the one-on-one relationship with everyone?
Right.
So, I guess that sounds impossible, but I don't know.
It's possible.
Oh really?
But
Okay.
I don't know if I have time for my family then.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah. So when we talk about, jadi kita berbicara okay, so you build a department like that. A department of creative, I don't know. The biggest I've had itu mungkin puluhan lah mas ya. Which I think most of them you can still interact
Yeah.
one-on-one.
One-on-one,
And then of course you will want to interact more with people who works closer to you in terms of rank because you need to understand your generals more, right? Dan prinsipnya juga sama. If you're actually sitting in the group level, you need to talk to the generals also, meaning people who's actually at a more senior level now perhaps gitu ya. So, but this is something that I've worked with a lot of bosses in the past, and I stole some of their techniques gitu ya. So I like to gather people together, I like to meet people because again, how can I drink coffee if I only see the pictures? Cannot, right? So have to meet, yeah. So one of the thing that I actually learned karena sebelum ini, so I was actually the first writer di Pantare waktu itu. Back then when Pantare was started in 2004, and then after that 3-4 years I went to a lot of places. Last time before I went back to this, itu I was with Gray as the head of creative for Indonesia, Gray Indonesia, right? And then I saw how my global boss at that time, almarhum Per Peterson, spent a lot of time to meet each and every head of creatives from every country. Gitu. And then he actually orchestrated a session that, Asia Pacific itu ngumpul 2 kali setahun dia tetapin waktunya gitu. And then some of them akan pergi ke level global 2 kali setahun dia tetapin waktunya gitu. Yeah. And then di all these occasions dia akan bikin supaya orang tuh kenal satu sama lain dan dia juga kenal exactly setiap orang. Jadi dia bisa bantu setiap orang untuk memaksimalkan potensi masing-masing. So again, I think that's what one of the more important aspects when you're actually how do I put it? Nurturing, yeah? Nurturing leaders in the group level gitu.
Can you tell us more about that? Kayak gimana Mas Nugi sebagai leader tuh nurture next generation of leaders? Kayak ada nggak sih specific framework atau nilai-nilai mungkin yang Mas Nugi pegang atau dan terapkan juga dalam nurturing next gen of leaders ini?
Yeah, so I think again I would always go back to develop yourself. I'm not saying I'm the most developed person in this company or whatever, but again, it's never an end point, right? It's never ending.
The journey,
gitu. Bener, it's never ending gitu. Yeah. And that's exactly is the point, So I always engage them as human, as person, gitu. So I will never engage them as someone who's actually this rank or whatever. That's why when they come with problems, I always, sometimes I ask questions like, recently I sat one-on-one, right? So this person is of a group head level, and then she was kind of demotivated by a bad meeting, and in this industries, everywhere. Banyak banget bad meetings, right?
Ineffective meeting.
Bad meetings lah when people sometimes people talk in a way that hurts you.
Oh, okay, I see.
And so and because he's also recently just being promoted as a leader, as a manager gitu ya. And then it's kind of like the very first days of her coming into a meeting with anak buah gitu lah ya. Karena sebelumnya kan dia jadi anak buah kan, sekarang ada anak buah. So and there were not so kind words being put on the table gitu ya. And then I asked her, what did you feel? She felt at the time berasanya tuh kayak bad karena dia nggak tahu harus gimana di situasi yang sulit seperti itu, dan dia sekarang jadi leader kan. And then I asked her that feelings of you feel bad itu berasanya it's gonna be permanent? Yes. How do you feel now? Not so bad. Why? Because I have a distance. Exactly. So, during bad meetings, sometimes we feel bad, but then you should not react. It's something that you develop when you develop yourself as a person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's why you develop yourself as a person, or you develop yourself in terms of professional aspect. It's you cannot really distinguish between the two, or you cannot really separate between the two.
Yeah.
So a better you is a wiser and a better leader.
Yeah. One of the fundamental things that is a part of self-development itu kan sebenarnya how we respond to things kan.
Yes.
Ya jadi tadi itu kan bagian dari itu, like how we manage kayak okay we feel something but then we don't just in a rush making reaction.
Right. Dan pada saat itu, if you're a freshly promoted leader, right, it felt like you're a failure already, my boss must have spotted wrong things about me, and then your mind started to play trick on you, and you started to go into a darker place.
I see.
Yeah.
Dan Mas Nugi tadi prinsipnya kayak ya udah just open a dialogue and then understand mereka gimana ngelihat itu.
Bener, and you encourage them to develop themselves more and more, to know themselves more and more,
Yeah.
and develop human qualities about them. There's one. Aku jadi inget nih. There's one. Ini kan era internet ya, like a lot of bits and pieces of quotes and interviews and whatever. Itu kan, distributed di social media.
Yeah.
But this is just one of them, like Gary Vaynerchuk. Dia bilang.
Gary V.
Yeah, Gary V. Dia bilang, one of the most underrated quality of a leader is actually kindness. Dia bilang. Kenapa? Karena kindness for years itu dilihat sebagai weakness. Bener kan? Tapi sebenarnya kindness is actually a strength. Gitu kan? It's easy to be kind when things are easy, But when things are hard and your leader is still kind, you got the right leader with you. Gitu. So again, this kind of perspectives can only come from a place where you are quite developed yourself as a person, because you can actually spot that. Because in the past, workplace is a place of aggressions. Banyak banget lah. I'm not going to be like putting it black and white, Boss makes people cry and whatever, And then if you actually being that kind of boss, it's kind of like a badge of honor, And then people will kind of really afraid of you, But of course,
leading from a place of fear. Yeah.
Leading from a place of fear and not love. Yeah, but then I think the world has started to learn, right? So
and especially the new generations, I think they're becoming more even further away from that culture.
Bener, karena makin banyak sources kan, makin banyak sources, makin banyak findings, makin banyak discoveries, makin banyak evidence.
But that's not really effective way of leading.
Exactly, but then again, it's all about developing yourself as a person, gitu sih.
Aku dengar Mas Nugi itu tipe yang ngelihat awards itu menjadi sesuatu yang bisa jadi useful lah gitu mungkin for terutama mungkin creative talent sekali ya. Gimana Mas Nugi ngelihat usefulness-nya itu seperti apa, atau bagaimana Mas Nugi selama ini mungkin utilize awards mungkin untuk develop your team or motivate them. Begini,
jadi advertising awards itu for years I think a lot of people also being using awards for a lot of things di advertising gitu kan. I was in a multinational agencies for years gitu ya. So I experienced myself the awards crazy culture gitu, that I saw my CCO gitu ya, the Chief Creative Officers itu tuh dibebanin target menang international awards segini banyak dari his or her boss, yang juga pasti dibebanin juga dari global gitu ya.
Yeah.
But I think we cannot lose sight of the main what do you call it, main reasons why we should pursue awards. We should not pursue awards for awards sake, because then we are feeding a hole within us, you know, a hole of insecurities,
Seeking validation. Gitu.
seeking validations, you know, like a hole that is feeding another hole, you know, seeking validations, feeding anxieties, and as a leader, you cannot afford to build such culture, you know. But it is still your responsibility to set a standard, and the standard must be super high. It's so high that people cannot help to acknowledge it, you know. But you cannot make that your entire life purpose, or you becoming a leader that leads the group of people in the wrong directions. Gitu.
So the goal is to pursue high quality work, but then if the consequence of that is getting awards,
Exactly.
this is a part of the, you know, like it's inevitable, like you said.
Exactly.
Because we can help that people acknowledge the quality of your work.
So it doesn't really matter if your agency becoming agency of the year, or it doesn't really matter if you actually being featured in Campaign Brief Asia as the hottest agencies with your photos like that, you know. It doesn't really matter, you know. Like what really matters is all the works are genuine works. You don't do that just for the awards, you know. And it actually contributed a lot of impacts and benefits for the clients yang bayar, right? And during the process, everyone enjoyed, you know. It's fun. It's a journey of discoveries, you know. And then at the end of the day, it's a source of satisfaction, gitu. And then you know that you've done your work well. And then you look at another year. The year before it was good, I'm looking for another joyride, gitu.
Oke.
Yeah.
Oke, terakhir Mas
Yeah.
Nugi. Ada pesan nggak untuk teman-teman mungkin young talents di creative industry yang punya visi pengen jadi leader one day di creative industry? Like what should they mungkin do atau pursue early in their career?
What they should do or pursue early in their career.
Untuk kemudian bisa one day, you know, becoming in a position of leadership lah.
Don't be so lazy to seek knowledge. And the best knowledge is self-knowledge. So go travel the world, meet people, you know. Don't just sit around and do doom scrolling or watch TV, you know, or whatever. Because your work is about life, and life is happening right now and everywhere. So go out and learn more about yourselves. But you need to also develop your skills. You need to also develop technicalities, you know. You should know who your creative idols are, you know. You should update yourself, you know, with the best, gitu kan. But I think, you know, technicalities aside, it's gonna be like that. Like, you know, at one level, it's gonna be like on par with everybody, parity, right? But I think one thing that gonna set you apart to a bigger tangent itu adalah your development as a person. The more you're developed as a person, the better leader you are.
Thank you,
Yeah, thank
Mas
you.
Nugi. Oke, itu tadi ngobrol-ngobrolnya bareng Mas Nugi. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you find this conversation enjoyable and insightful.